Hi everybody, this is Daniel from BallerNerd.com. Today I'll be showing you some introductory tips and tricks on the Warrior class in the World of Warcraft Mr. Pandaria beta. This video will be instructional on the points of low-level warrior play, very introductory from level 1 to 10, and will also describe the races that you can choose from and the roles that you'll find yourself in should you choose to play a warrior. First off, here's the character creation window for a warrior. They can, as you can see, they can be any race. They're very versatile. They're one of my favorite classes just based on what they can be. First off, they have humans, which they have increased spirit, bonus reputation gains, expertise with maces and swords, and they can break out of speed alternate trapping effects, basically get out of crowd control. The spirit's useless, straight up, because spirit is a mana regeneration mechanic. Warriors don't use mana. What is mana? So don't worry about it. Expertise is good with swords and maces. That's very important for tanking and damage dealing. Reputation gains are also a very good bonus at the beginning of the expansions. At the beginning of the expansions, you will see there's different factions which you will want to get in favor with, and you will do it 10% faster as a human. The warrior I particularly play as a human, so I find this very useful at the beginning of expansions, getting your items quicker. But this is about a low-level warrior video, so let's go on to the other races. There's the dwarf race, which is may take on a stone form, which makes them take 10% less damage. It also clears them of any bleed effects. It's useful for tanking. Just 10% damage is pretty neat. Increased critical chance with guns. Warriors don't use guns. Don't need them. Resistance to frost damage may or may not be useful based on whatever the boss does or the creatures you're fighting do. Find additional archaeology fragments and survey faster. Archaeology is a secondary profession. You may or may not need it. Expertise with maces. It's always good if you use a mace. Night elves may fade into the shadows. They can basically stealth while staying still. It's pretty useful based on what you're doing. Say if you're on a PvP server and you're leveling, you're level 15, level 20, and there's some guy running around trying to kill everybody. Maybe you can just stealth in a bush. You can fade away. Maybe they won't see you. It's kind of useful. More difficult to hit. This is very good for any warrior who wants to be a tank, because the goal on tanking is to keep the guy focused on you, and you take as little damage as possible. So if you're difficult to hit, it's a win-win, right? Wisp form all dead. If you're dead, you move faster. Don't die. So if you don't die, you don't need it. Resistance to nature damage may or may not be useful. Same as the dwarfs with frost. Faster movement while stealthed. Well, you really don't stealth and move, so not really important. Gnomes, I don't know why the window's like this, may escape from speed altering effects, so it's kind of useful. Increased mana pool, whoop-de-doo. Arcane damage resistance, maybe. Engineering skill, engineering's a profession, may or may not be useful. Expertise with daggers and small swords, so one-handed swords, daggers. Maybe use one-handed swords as a tank or a fury warrior, may or may not be useful. Terrain eye, dual crafting skill increased. It's a profession. May heal self for others over time. It can be useful at certain times. It may or may not prevent you from death. At low level, when you're by yourself, it's pretty good. Chance to hit with melee and spells increased. If you're playing a fury warrior, for example, or an arms warrior, even a prot warrior, you get some benefits from it. You get 1% hit. May or may not be useful. Resistance to shadow damage, like I said, it's resistance. Worgens, they can periodically move quickly. They have a use ability that lets them run a little bit faster. They can also, their critical strike chance is increased. If you are playing a damage dealer, this is very good. Certain things will, if you land a critical hit on this guy, you may get a bonus to this, maybe get enraged, etc. It's useful. It's a good damage dealing. If you're going to be a damage dealer, Worgen is a good one to be. Resistance to nature and shadow, skinning skill, and speed increase. You really don't want to skin that much. Skinning is a leather working thing. You don't wear leather, so Pandarians, they're the new race. They can be Horde or Lance. They may put enemies to sleep with a touch of their hand. May or may not be useful while leveling if you catch yourself in a bind. Inner peace means let rest experience last longer. This is very good for leveling. For those who don't know rest experience, when you sleep in an inn and you log out, over time, or if you're in a rested zone, you will gain a little blue bar instead of a purple bar, and it will go based on the amount of time you are not actively doing things. You will gain double experience for that, so it lasts longer. Cool. Increased benefits from eating food may be cool. Cooking skill increased. Secondary profession. Bouncing and take less falling damage. I don't know. May work. If you play, once you get into the advanced tricks of the warrior, though, you don't really need the bouncy thing. If you play it right, you won't take fall damage from falls. If you're good at it. Now moving on to the horde races. orcs. Now they're monked. Let me go back to warrior. Orcs may enrage to increase damage. This is neat. It's an enrage effect. It might be a enrage effect in Mr. Pandaria. Increased damage. Hey, damage is good. Resistant to stun effects. That's always cool. Damage done by pets increased. You don't use pets. Don't need it. Increased expertise with axes and fist weapons. You don't really use fist weapons. You might. I mean, if there's one with strength on it, you might. Strength is the bread and butter warrior stat. Axes, yeah, those are cool. Undead may remove fear, sleep, and charm. It's useful for player versus player combat, or maybe some creature out in the world does it to you, and he might try to kill you. May consume corpses to regain health and mana. That might be useful while leveling. It's called carnivore, something like that. Underwater breathing increased. Not really useful as it used to be. There's plenty of ways to get underwater breathing, and the timers, you have like a minute or two otherwise. Resistant to shadow damage, may or may not be useful. Torrents may stop stunning nearby opponents. This is very neat, very cool in for tanking or any other any specialization. You might take a little bit of heat off your healers and let them have a little bit of breathing room. Make your tank have an opportunity to get away if he was near death. Maximum health increased. This is very popular for tanks. Health is obviously what you want. You want health. Increased skill while herbing and speed while picking herbs. If you're going to be an alchemist or an inscriptionist, you can pick them very fast. It may or may not be useful. Resistances, of course. Trolls, berserk, increased attack and casting speed. Fury warriors, if you're going to be a troll or an arms warrior, attack speed is good because in even tanking, if you have attack speed, you hit faster. It means you gain rage faster. So either way, it works. Regeneration increased. It's helpful. Increased damage versus beasts. It's situational at best. Increased critical chance with throwing weapons and bows. No, you don't use either one. Reduced duration of movement and parrying effects. Useful for certain things. Blood Elf's enchanting skill increased. Can restore resources such as mana or energy. May silence nearby opponents. Resistant to arcane damage. So it's kind of useful. It can restore resources such as mana and energy. I think it also gives you rage. Maybe not. But I haven't played a Blood Elf Warrior, so I couldn't tell you. Goblins may rocket jump forward, launch rocket at enemies. Those two share a cooldown, or at least they did. But the rocket jump is very useful. A lot of times you would see in a battleground with a goblin would pick up this an objective like a flag, and a goblin warrior would run. He would rocket jump off a cliff, and then he would heroic leap, which lets you travel further. So it's lots of mobility. If you're trying to be a mobile warrior, goblin is a good race to pick. Vendor discounts, personal bank, haste increased. Haste is not very good for warriors. Haste increases the speed of your attacks, so it may or may not be good. These are the races you can be if you were going to play whatever you like. This is an introductory guide. If you were to play a tank warrior and you wanted to be alliance, I would pick night elf, dwarf. If you were trying to be the best of the best, if you were trying to pick damage, I would pick a worgen. And I'm leaving Pandaren out of this because we don't really know how they're gonna turn out yet. All the races obviously are valid for whatever you want to do. If you're going to be horde, if you're going to be a damage dealer, I would pick an orc or possibly a troll. Or if you want to be a tank, Tauren is pretty much what you want to do. But moving on, this is my warrior. He's an 85, so I'm going to get on him, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the introductory abilities that warriors do possess at low levels. My warrior is obviously higher level, so he has different abilities that he can use. But when you start out in Mist of Pandaria, you will have an auto attack, which is obviously, if you should know what that is by now, and you have heroic strike. Heroic strike costs 30 rage. While auto attacking, aka white hitting, you will gain a buff. You will gain rage, and you will be able to heroic strike. It's useful on. It's an ability you can spam at later levels. Actually, I think you can kill these target dummies. Oh well. I was hoping there was a dummy out here that you could actually kill. Anyway. So that's what you gain at level 3. You gain charge, which is one of the cornerstone warrior abilities. When people think of warriors, they think of charge. Charge is something like this. It's got an 8 to 25 yard range. It has a minimum range, but run at high speeds, stun them for a second. It's very useful. One of my favorite abilities. This is I've had several friends who have seen me play warrior and seen others play warriors. And the reason why they want to pick this class is because of their mobility, because they have charge. They had an ability called Intercept that was useful. which was another charge, and you could use both of them without affecting each other. But I do believe they took that out. But now you can. There's different ways. You can charge twice before the cooldown's up if you pick a certain talent. I don't have that at the moment, but it's a very useful ability. Level 5, you gain Victory Rush. Victory Rush is an ability when you kill a target that grants experience or honor. You can use it to heal yourself for 20% of your maximum health. It's very useful while leveling. It keeps you going from mob to mob very quickly. It used to be if you were in a zone that was too high level for you, say if you were level 3 and you were trying to kill level 6s, and you may not die from them, but they'd hurt you so bad you would have to sit and eat. That's what we call downtime. You would have to kill a mob, stop, heal up, kill a guy, stop, heal up. It's very slow, but then they added this Victory Rush ability in. Not only does it do a lot of damage at low level, it keeps you moving from mob to mob to mob. It's a very powerful ability. Do not underestimate it. At level 7, you gain Execute, which is a finisher. You do lots of damage to a target when they're below 20% health. You want to just start doing this, obviously, when they're low. It does cost a little bit of rage. They've revamped it slightly. It used to deal extra damage based on whatever rage you had, and it would use that rage. It would take 30 rage, and it would use up to 20 additional or 30 additional rage to do more damage. Now it's just a flat 30 rage. Only using less than 20% health creatures, and it does a good amount of damage. So it's another very important warrior ability that's been around for years. It's been around since probably the beginning. Since the beginning, I believe. Level 9, you gain Defensive Stance, which is what I use a lot. I'm a tank. I'm a protection warrior. I tank and protect my allies. It's decreases your damage taken by 10%. This is what you gain at level 9. You start with Battle Stance at level 1. It is an aggressive combat stance, increased damage dealt by 10%, and then at a higher level, usually around level 30, you gain Berserker Stance. This one they've revamped it. It's an area of effect combat stance. Increased damage done by Whirlwind and Cleave. Whirlwind is an ability that does damage to up to like 6 foes or everybody around you. Has a short cooldown, and then Cleave it's basically a heroic strike that does the same amount of rage, but it hits a nearby target for almost the same weapon damage. So it's either you use Heroic Strike or Cleave. That's basically the trade-off. And you get those at higher levels. I'll go into those at a further date, but that's pretty much all you get from level 1 to 10. Level 12, you get Taunt, which is every tank class has a Taunt. It makes the target attack you, so they'll start hitting you. And that's just how it works. So I'll be doing more videos on some advanced protection warrior tactics, protection, arms, fury, warrior tactics. This is just an introductory video. What to expect on a warrior? If you were to level and you're leveling up and you're pretty much just a warrior at this point. You have no specializations up until level 10, so you haven't really decided what you want to do. If you're more of the person who wants to be a wild, crazy berserker, you want to go fury. You get things like Bloodthirst, which is obviously just the way it sounds. You get a little bit of heal. You do healing from it. You do lots of damage. You have 2 weapons, and you're just attacking super fast. You get a flurry spell, and you just lots of damage. If you're a more controlled, a gladiator type warrior, and you want to, kill your guys efficiently and move on from target to target very quickly, without just being a berserker, arms is the way to go. Arms is my preferred spec of warrior. As damage dealer warrior over fury, I just like the way it goes. I always level as arms. Its arms are bust for me. And obviously protection if you want to tank and protect your allies and be the center of attention of sorts. You can always choose the protection role. Out of all the tanks, protection warriors are my favorite. I like the way that they work. I like the way the rage works. I like the mechanics. Every expansion they revamp things a little bit. So right now it's the beta. So we'll see where protection warriors end up. They were in a good place in Cataclysm. They were in a pretty good place in Wrath of Lich King. So they look like they're going to be good in the next expansion. They're changing some of the ways rage works, but I'll go into that later. Not the way rage itself works, the way that rage is used. But thank you for viewing this guide. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter channels. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to us on twitch.tv at ballerNerd.com. We'll be streaming lots of things, lots of events. We have a contest going on currently for Diablo 3. If you subscribe to our YouTube and our Twitch channel, you're automatically entered into a drawing to win a free copy of Diablo 3. It's a standard edition. There's no strings attached, no catches. Just subscribe, have a chance of winning a free Diablo 3. So thank you guys for watching, and keep checking back, and we'll have some more videos up later. Thanks.